Hi, I'm Seth and welcome to another video in our continuing series on best practices and impressions. Today we are going to be talking about Zoom, or as it's officially called, Zoom Video Communications, Inc. If you are watching this, then I can't imagine that you don't know what Zoom is. But as we normally do, I'll run down a few of the particulars before we get into the nitty-gritty. All right, look, our background thoughts on Zoom are actually pretty involved. Check out our companion piece, linked here or down below, for maybe 1,500 words on that topic. But, spoiler alert, we don't put more information into it than we need to, and it's what we mostly use. Let's just skip on to the tech stuff, come on. So I've logged us into the Zoom portal, which is where I'm gonna start. You can actually schedule a meeting from the application, but I'll show the portal first because that's normally where I work from. The portal gives you profile information, meetings, webinars, recordings, settings. We're not getting into the user management, the admin stuff. We're not going to get into settings for this. It comes out of the box pretty well configured for most people. As you get into more advanced stuff, you can start to dig into your meeting settings. What we're going to do is run over to schedule a new meeting. And we're just going to call this the test meeting. I'm not going to bother with the description, and we will go ahead and say that it's going to start at 5 o'clock today. They did find my time zone correctly. We are not doing a recurring meeting. I tend to stay away from doing any type of a registration. I don't need Zoom managing that for me for the most part. Zoom does a personal meeting ID that we've blurred out here because it turns out that I use my cell phone number for that. Typically, I recommend that people generate a meeting ID automatically. It's a little more secure. And this is going to have me start with a passcode and a waiting room, which we will leave on. There's also some more stuff about who gets to have video, who gets to have what kind of audio you're using. Participant video and audio are probably the only things you'd want to change there. If you have a large meeting, you might want your participants not to be speaking or have their video on at the very beginning. All right, anyways, let's zip down to the bottom here. We're going to save our meeting. And Zoom does integrate nicely with Calendar, Outlook, and Yahoo. We use Google here. They integrate at the server level. So if I click on this, I can actually give Zoom the ability to access my accounts. They already have this, but it asks for it relatively often. Zoom will go ahead and push a meeting onto your Google Calendar. It's up to you whether or not you want to give Zoom that kind of access. You can certainly also just copy and paste the invite yourself. I'm going to invite Nick to this, and I'm going to hit save. Go ahead and send that email, and Nick is going to know that I want to have a chat with him in about half an hour. Okay, and from there we can jump right into the actual meeting. All right, so when it's time to start your meeting, you get a couple options. Your first option is to click on this link from within the calendar. It is going to then ask if it can open the Zoom meeting. If you click on that, it's going to launch the Zoom application, and it would start the meeting. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to show you the other way. From right within the Zoom application, if you are signed in, it also has a copy of that meeting, and I can click right here to start it. All right, so that's going to bring me up. I'm the only one in the meeting right now. I'm going to join it with the computer audio. You can certainly dial in if that's your preference. I'm the only one in the meeting, and it's giving me the standard toolbar. In just a moment, Nick is going to try to, and it's telling me that I'm muted. It's a cute little thing that it does to let you know that you've started muted, and if it hears you making noise, it likes to let you know that you're muted. We can go ahead and do some quick stuff. We can take a look at the basic control bar. We have your mute, which clicking the button, mute you or unmute you. We can also start and stop our video. The little arrow bars give you more information about audio and video, so we can come up here and we can choose a specific microphone or a specific speaker. We can also choose a specific camera if we have more than one, or we could choose a virtual background. I cover my thoughts on virtual backgrounds in our Can You Go To Virtual video, so I'm not getting into it here. We can click on security and we do see a few things. We can lock the meeting, which I have just accidentally done. If we lock the meeting, no new participants can get in. We also can enable and disable the waiting room, and we can allow participants various permissions that they can go through. We can see the list of participants. We can see that Zoom does have some built-in polling. It is not super robust, but it does exist. We can open a chat window to see if we want to send messages that aren't going through the main audio and video channel. Go ahead and close that. We can share our screen, which we'll get into in a little bit. We can record the meeting. We'll go ahead and do that. Zoom has a couple of interesting options. You can record on this computer or you can record to the cloud. Hang on. We see that Nick is trying to get in. I'm going to go ahead and admit him. I could also see the waiting room to see who's in there. So I like the waiting room function. And the reason that I like the waiting room function is that it allows me to admit a particular person. If you have somebody who is trying to Zoom bomb you, they get stuck in the waiting room and they have to be admitted. They can sit there as long as they need to or until they go away, and it'll keep people from continually re-entering your meeting and being problematic. That's also another good reason to go ahead and be able to lock the meeting. No one else can join. Nick has my voice playing in his room normally, so he's probably not going to go ahead and turn on his sound today. That would be a little distracting. But we can go through the rest of this and see what's going on. Going across the board, going back to recording. Zoom allows you to record on your own computer, which is nice because it doesn't use up cloud space. You get a certain amount with your various plans. It also doesn't put it on any of their servers. The one downside to that is if your connection is a little sketchy, the recording is going to show that. You can also record to the cloud if you're not worried about any privacy issues in what you're recording. And frankly, most of the time I don't see a reason to be. Recording in the cloud is not a bad idea. You can download the recordings later. We'll go ahead and do that for now. In fact, I think we could no, I don't want to stop it. So nope, I guess you only get to record one at a time. All right, going across the toolbar some more. There are breakout rooms. We only have one participant, but this is a neat thing that Zoom does. If you had, say, 25 or 50 or 100 people in a breakout room, this would allow us to break out all of those people into 5, 10 different breakout rooms to do small sessions. You can then bring them back all into the main session. So it's a pretty handy tool for larger conferences. And you can actually have quite large conferences with Zoom. I believe the maximum number of people in a Zoom meeting is 1,000, which is frankly way too many. And the maximum number of people in their webinar tool is like 10,000, which is a lot. So breakout rooms are interesting, and you do have some reactions. You can give a clap or a thumbs up. Again, these are not as robust as other platforms, but they're a good way to give a quick, I like that, I didn't like that. When there's 25 people up, you can get a quick set of responses to what's going on. They will eventually go away. Hey, Nick, why don't you give me a clap or a thumbs up? See? That lets me take the temperature of the room in a non-invasive way. Gallery view is exactly what you'd think. I actually like gallery view a lot more than I like speaker view. And the other thing that we skipped over was screen sharing. Now, we can do multiple participants sharing simultaneously, one participant at a time. I like one at a time. There are some advanced options that you can dig into, but for the most part, you click on sharing and you choose what you want to share. You can share an iPad, an iPhone, you can share a specific application, or you can share a whiteboard, which is just a place to sketch collaboratively. Interestingly, there are a couple of options to pay attention to. If you want Zoom to capture your computer sound, if there's say a video in your PowerPoint, you're going to want to click this. Also, if there's a video that you're going to want to click the optimize screen sharing for video clip because it'll capture it at a faster frame rate. I'm pretty sure that they're doing a low frame rate to save on bandwidth for more static images. We're not doing either of those things, so I'm just going to go ahead and click on the portal here, post attendee thing, and hit click share. You get the same basic toolbar now up here, but you do have annotate, same as it ever was. And you do have remote control, so I could give the mouse and keyboard control to Nick. I believe I can only give it to one person at a time, unlike GoToMeeting where you can have multiple people controlling an application at once. I don't know that makes a huge difference to have that going on. That's a quick rundown of Zoom. Audio and video-wise, it's probably one of the most reliable and robust platforms that we use, which is why we've landed on it. It's also pretty simple and relatively well understood by clients. I guess the next thing to just cover is at the end. You can either leave the meeting, or if you are the host, you can end the meeting for all, which is what I'm going to do. And we'll talk about the post-meeting wrap-up. All right, so I've logged back into the portal here. After meetings, what we'd like to do is use either an email or a survey as a follow-up. It depends on the number of people in a meeting. You're not going to do that through plain vanilla Zoom. I don't actually know if they do that in the webinar side. I haven't checked that out yet. We do it through like a SurveyMonkey or just, Gmail. All right, what you can do is you can click over here to recordings. It's in recordings, not under previous meetings. You can see that I have 2 recordings in the cloud. And the most important thing that you can do is go over here and click download. You can download the 2 files. It will ask you often if you want to download multiple files. You can also delete it. The other thing that you can click on is the share settings. Now, if we click on this, we can decide what we want to allow. Right now, we can do it either publicly or for authenticated users only. I'm going to leave it publicly because I don't want my users authenticating to Zoom. We can add an expiry date to the link. I can, defaults to 7 days. You can choose longer or shorter. We can allow people to download or not download. And we can do on-demand registration. This would mean that you can publicly share the link and it'll ask people to register in order to see it. I don't really like my users authenticating to Zoom, so we don't go that way. We never do on-demand through Zoom. You can add password protection or not. You can show the password or hide it. I believe you can also edit it. The rest of this is less important to display, the detailed information. You know what you recorded. And you can copy the sharing information to the clipboard and then paste that into whatever way you want to distribute the links. Again, I don't think I mentioned this before. The recordings, if I click on this, you're going to see that this is a shared screen with speaker view. Zoom will record whatever mode you're in when you click recording. So if I had wanted to record the gallery, I could have switched to being in gallery mode and recorded that, and then it would also record the shared screen along with it. I actually prefer the gallery mode, but if you want a big picture of the person talking, you kind of want your speaker view. That's pretty much it for the post-meeting portal stuff within Zoom. All right, I guess the only other thing that we should cover is that there are some recording analytics. There is no information on this because I've never told anybody about it. But if you were sharing through Zoom, this would give you an idea of how many people were looking at it. That's Zoom in a nutshell. Let's think about final thoughts. So this has been a rundown of Zoom, and Zoom is where we landed right now for ease of use, presenter familiarity, and quality/reliability. It's not a perfect platform. That probably doesn't exist. And it's not a perfect company, but for more of our thoughts on that, see our companion piece. If you found this helpful and would like to see more of our content, like, subscribe, click the bell, use the RSS feed on our website, stop by the office and ask us questions. Well, maybe not till next year. If you have a question, drop a comment in whatever platform you are watching this on, or email us using feedback@productivemedia.com. We'll be back next week with another video around online meetings and presenting. And for now, thanks for watching.